Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, or no, the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Whatever it is, you know where we are at right now, and there's plenty to talk about today as we follow up on this prior week's action, as we do have the new weekly closure for CME, obviously on Friday, and then we got a little bit of weekend fun action coming up here. Of course, we did hit our $59,000 bounce target from yesterday, or actually a few dollars off right there, so Krown's wrong again, and kill him, and fair enough, I understand, but more importantly, there actually are a few opportunities, especially coming into the next 24 hours of price action right here, and a lot of setup for the next week to come. Most importantly, really. Anyways, with that in mind, we should now get in the Krown application, which we found at app.krowng.net. And what do we see? We see all sorts of things on the top end dashboard. Yet again, fear and greed index is at the lowest level that we have seen in a couple months here. Actually, somewhat comparable to what we saw in September. Not quite there just yet, but we will look at a chart soon enough. Anyways, Bitcoin dominance still hanging around that 43.5% region, of which I do expect that most altcoins not going to be doing too well versus Bitcoin pairing in these next couple months to come. But that does not mean all of them. There's actually several coins that are showing a lot of strength, which is very interesting to myself and perhaps you out there, especially if you've been around since 2016, 2017. Anyways, top 10 best coins. We got some humongous winners right there, actually. Immutable X, Engine Coin, Loopring, Z, oh dear Lord, Zcash is on there again, Phantom, Avalanche, Shiba, oh boy, and Thorchain and Helium all on the winners list right there. Double digits and more, some actual big gainers right there. Anyways, let's get in the market data tab over here. There are a few very interesting things going on. We continue to see the downtrend on the global funding rates over here. So you are, of course, still paying to hold your long positions on average, but this is coming well below parity now. And, you know, realistically, just par for the course is 0.01%. So this is, you know, well below that right now. It does suggest that shorts are being a little more aggressive on the market sell right there. However, well, they're mostly in profit, so that's completely fine, and that it doesn't really give up any major edge as it is right now. Global leverage ratio has taken its first ever so slight downtick in a very long time, not that much, but it has happened. And then the global open interest has actually been steadily coming down ever since our 16.5 billion highs that correlated with our current all-time highs. So that is a good sign. You know, we are seeing longs coming off the board on leverage, obviously, and then still coins are coming off exchanges. And yes, this data over here is verified. It's not just internal transfers, which is an issue with a lot of these data providers for these particular metrics right here. But we can actually assure you that it is verified. But that also is why it's on a little bit of a delay, because, well, that's the issue with that's a trade-off, essentially. A trade-off that I'll be happy to make. Anyways, into the third data tab we go, and I want to show you the fear and greed index chart right here. So you do see that comes down around our September lows. That was the last $40,000 macro low for Bitcoin. Let me just make sure I'm recording. The microphone's working. That's good. It is. So nice. Very happy about that one. Anyways, you know, it's still not quite there just yet, and we are at the lowest levels that we've basically seen since then. But you know, can it come down a little bit lower? Yes. Can it stay there for a little bit of time? Yes. But typically, we don't stay as long on the low side in the fearful zone as we do typically in the greedy zone, as you saw right here. And so once it starts to come back down into like the mid to low 20s, are we looking for potential lows? Perhaps yes, or at least, you know, it comes a little more likely, and we're almost there right now. And we'll talk about relevant things on the price action as well. Anyways, before we get into that, because that's like, well, the most important thing, I do want to say, oh yes, there's been a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but there's at least someone impersonating me on Instagram. I can assure you, I'm not going to DM you, especially asking like for your financial details or trying to trade your account or anything like that. I'm more than happy to trade my own account and no one else's. So please, well, be aware that that's probably a scammer and definitely not me. I can assure you of that. And then of course, also if you are already a successful trader, I do want to let you know that Femex is actually having their deposit bonus boosted up to like, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000. There's a link in the description below. I think it's maybe 3,600, whatever it is. Again, it goes without saying, look, if you're not already profitable at trading, do not do that. The reason why they're offering that up is so that, well, like they can take advantage of you because they know that you'll probably end up on the losing end. But if you're already profitable, hey, be like a Robin Hood and take a little bit from them, and fair enough. Anyways, okay, cool. What else do we have other than that? I think that's about it. Okay, cool. Let's get into the charts right now, and let's start off with the fun one today. We had a I'm going to start off with something fun here. Hey, look, if you're new to this channel, please understand that this is just a little bit of fun. We'll get into the fun. We'll get into like the serious stuff in a second here, but what did we have last night? We had a 1 in a 600-year event, actually. I've actually consulted with the witches, and this is actually rather interesting. And basically there was a like blood moon, half lunar eclipse, whatever the hell that is. And as you can see right here on the chart, the results over the past year, regardless of whether you believe in this or not, the results are the results. And what's that saying? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And if you statistically, if I can actually say that properly, backtest this, it does have an over 80% win rate, actually, just blindly fucking trading these, which is annoying, which is annoying to be honest. Look, my ego can't handle it. I don't want to admit that it's good, but hey, those are the results right there. Anyways, what's a little more interesting to myself is all of these, of course, vertical lines. Now, let me just get rid of this for a second and explain this. So we've been going over this over the past week in the sense that there's just something been weird around the like 19th, 20th to 21st of each and every month for the past year now, where we do see a lot of major lows. In fact, one of them was a major high, to be fair, but generally speaking, major lows. I've kind of postulated this probably because of, you know, where major expirations typically are. So I come from traditional markets, and the third Friday of every week is what's known as your regular expirations for equity options. And the reason why that's important is because that's usually the most traded expiration for that month. So there's a lot of portfolio rebalancing and shifting around, and that typically does, well, you know, produce a lot of price action movements. And you'll probably notice that with futures expiration for Bitcoin specifically, you know, there is usually a lot of price action pivoted around those regions, usually about a week before as people start to roll their positions off. Anyways, I've charted out all of these vertical lines around those dates, and you can kind of backtest yourself. I know that some of these don't look as interesting. However, I can assure you that each and every one of them is almost a $10,000 move or more. And the last one, by the way, right on over here, was actually a high. That was the only one that was actually a high throughout this whole last year. This one over here for February wasn't really anything. Anyways, the one before that, September, that was your $40,000 low. Yes, Bitcoin did chop around there, and yes, Fear and Greed Index was kind of comparable where we're at right now as well. But you know, I think that it does deserve a little bit of merit. Same thing over here, August 20th on this almost $10,000 rally from 44 to 53. Not bad. The time before that was July on this, well, the bear trap, essentially other macro low that we have before the $40,000 low. Quite important as well. The time before that was June right here, May 20th right here, April 22nd or 23rd right here before $10,000 rally or more. This same thing, you know, on March. Not the same thing in February, to be fair. That one did not count, to be fair, or at least it wasn't, or actually it was more of a high, if anything. Yeah, now that I look at it, 21st was a high in that case. Anyways, January 21st was this major low right here at 30,000 before, you know, melt up. Same thing in December 2020, actually. Anyways, let's get into the actual stuff right now. I thought that was rather interesting because that kind of would align or at least help out or at least maybe help out a little bit of the case in the sense that we got a Bula moon, and we also got the magical dates right there too, in the sense that, you know, if you are looking for a local low, could it be around where we're at right now? Yeah, I do think so. Is it exactly where we're at right now? Well, actually, as you're about to see, I don't think so, in fact, or at least I don't think that Bitcoin is done without testing around the current low again. So of course we do have the weekly closure for CME. And by the way, not even on the weekly, but on the lower term timeframes for CME, we did close with hidden bearish divergence on the buy hourly. And I believe the 4 hour is actually not having it right there, which is good. So, you know, short term coming into CME open on Sunday, perhaps I would be looking for another move somewhere down around the lows, not necessarily the exact lows perhaps, but somewhere around maybe 56,000 or 56,500. And then if Bitcoin does put in a higher low right around there, that would be good for like the actual bounce. As it is right now, yes, we did bounce up to our $59,000 target based off the bullish divergence that we saw in the short-term timeframes, but you know, what's formulating right now is we have hidden bearish divergence formulated on the other side. And how do you know that? Well, we have higher highs on RSI, and right now Bitcoin is going to be operating on lower highs essentially as long as we're below about 61,000 bucks. So could it be that Bitcoin just green dildos this way all the way above 61 before confirming a local high right here? It's possible, yes. Do I think it's probabilistic? Probably not. No, I think Bitcoin's more likely to pull back after maybe grinding this area out. But first things first, whenever you're talking about divergences, you need to be comparing local high to local high in this case. And right now, do we have a local high? No. How could we confirm a local high in this case? Well, in this case, I'd want to see like a buy hourly closure below about 57,850. If that happens, yes, I'm looking for another move, minimum down to 56.5 or so. Could it come all the way down to our prior low right on over here, or maybe even a little bit lower and create an ever so slightly lower low, perhaps in the lower end of this blue box territory, which was our target based off the $63,500 break over here after the $59,000 bounce, failed bounce that is. Perhaps yes, you know, that would be fine as well. But ultimately, I'm not necessarily looking for Bitcoin to shatter this current $55,000 area without first putting in a more interesting bounce. which again, I don't think is actually happening exactly from this region right here. I think that it probably does come back down, either puts in a slightly higher low or tests around the low, puts in some divergence in that way, and then gives a nice bounce. Remember, the market doesn't happen in one day, and a bit more of a realistic perception on this one is just the simple fact that, you know, we're going to see an ebb and flow here. And while this is more of a bearish setup than a bullish setup, you know, could this turn around to be bullish? Yes, but how would we turn around to confirm a bullish setup right here? Well, we already have a lower low on the daily. Remember, here was your prior low right here. Obviously, Bitcoin closed well below that, and, you know, at best, this is our current low right here, right? Anyways. So now it's time to be on lower high watch, similar to what we saw back on over here in May and April, obviously. Doesn't mean that it's going to be destined to happen, but it means that if it does happen, well, you know, I'm not here to be your financial advisor, nor is this financial advice, but you can probably figure out what the fuck I'm gonna be doing. Same thing as I did over here. and what do we see over here, right? So you got your low right here, you got your lower low right here. Then what happens after that? You pop back up and you put in a lower high. And once that lower high happens, at the ripe old fucking Fibonacci retracement at the 618, well, that's your nice big down move right there. Now look, I'm not saying that the same thing's gonna happen right here. In fact, I don't think that the same thing at all would happen right here, to the tune of that move, to be fair, but I do suspect that it would at least give us another drive down to about $51,000, give or take. Anywhere around this area right here is fair game. And let's see where the good old fibs kind of show us right now that we do have potentially a low right there. I would say it's probably going to be fine, but the 618 is coming in right around about 63,500. So no longer would I personally need to see above $65,000 or 65,500 to be exact for Bitcoin to turn around and be obviously bullish, you know, targeting moves back on towards 75,000, 80,000, whatever the fuck those plan B targets are, and more. But now I just need to see a daily closure above about 63,500, this area right here, which does kind of make sense. I mean, you know, if we pull this back, this is essentially your prior sort of range, and well, reclaiming that would be generally good, obviously. So if we do see any sort of weakness below this region, anything that resembles a lower high on a daily specifically, yeah, I will be looking for at minimum 53,500. I think everyone and their mother is looking at that region right now as well. But personally speaking, I do think that we get a wick down a little bit lower than that, because what I would be doing here as well, not to make this more confusing than it needs to be, but I'd also take a bullish retracement on this whole move right here, representing the macro. And if we were to do that, where does the 0.5 come in around? Actually more like $53,000, but anywhere between the 0.5 and the 618 is kind of where I'm looking towards if that were to happen. For right now, do the blue law still have a chance off of this current low right here? Yes, technically speaking, yes. But as you can see, a lot of work needs to be done, and you know, a $5,000 rally isn't like, you know, unheard of for Bitcoin, but I don't think it's necessarily happening like today. I think this happens perhaps over the next week or two, if it's going to happen at all. Similar to what you saw back on over here, you know, from low to high, this was about 2-3 weeks, actually, about 3 weeks in this case. So, you know, no real rush on this one, and short-term timeframes, like I said, a little more likely to come back down, in my opinion, after assuming that we do confirm a local high right here. Again, local high will be confirmed, especially below about 57,850 on a bi-hourly closure. Let me see if other timeframes mean a little more obvious here. Maybe just 57,900. Again, kind of close on that schedule, but you can see that, you know, again, if we go over here to the 4-hour, you know, we're obviously making new highs above our last high already. So Bitcoin's got a lot of work to do to unravel that. 6-hour, I imagine, is doing the same thing. Yes, indeed it is. It's already above your last prior high. Again, this last prior high was about $61,000. So it would imply that Bitcoin needs to actually rally above that region first, and then we wouldn't have hidden bearish divergence anymore. Anyways, can I pull up this chart over here? How's momentum oscillators looking like on the short-term timeframes? Then we'll talk about the higher-term timeframes briefly. I don't want to go over like very long-term analysis here right now, but we will do that tomorrow, most likely. Actually have to go to a bit of a party today. Imagine that. Anyways, looking at the 4-hour, what do we see? 4-hour Stokes turned down below 59.5. Of course, this is on spot. Now, while CME is not trading for today, it should be known that it does remain with upside position as long as about $56,000. So again, Bitcoin can come down there and still even close at 56, and that would be a higher low, and we still see momentum up even on the short-term time frame. So I'm kind of leaning towards that. One more grind out of the low, and then you get your real bounce, and then we get to play the game of, okay, is this going to end up being a lower high or not? Again, you know, if you missed it in May and April, this is your next chance, in my opinion. Anyways, bi-hourly, up as long as above, or let's go over to spot price action. We'll turn down below 58,350, which we are currently about $100 above right now. So okay, hourly is flippy floppy down below about 59,000 bucks. So again, the hourly over the weekend for whatever reason seems to have actually pretty damn good results. I'd say the hourly confirms a local high, more so below about 57.6. Until then, I mean, again, anything below 61 is still a lower high. So could we get like another continuation move up, maybe to like 59.5, and then put in a lower high right there? Perhaps yes. That would obviously imply that the downside targets based off that aren't going to be as severe. Anyways, whoopsies, I done goofed it up, it looks like. Oh well, what about the medium and higher term timeframes? 12-hour is actually going to be flipping up above 58,200. Currently we're above 200 bucks. Currently we're above that by 200 bucks right now. So that'll also be helping out the BULAs. Again, is CME consistent with that? Yes, it is, but not trading over the weekend. So I really do think that if you're looking for like the bounce, it probably doesn't happen until CME opens up, and daily is just fucking nuking down as long as below 63,550. I would not call that a bullish reset, but I would call it a reset. In this case, we are going to be hitting this trend line on CME. Again, CME is not trading today. Spot price action, what do we look like right here? Yeah, there ain't no trend line there. There ain't nothing there, man. But it is having a nice reset here all the way down to 62,000. And yeah, the 12 hour is going to pop up above 58 too. Okay, so interesting. Anyways, now let's probably end it on this right here. The weekly, right? So the weekly has closed for CME, and this is very difficult to not talk about. And for the people who do think that our current low is like the low, this is what I'd show you right here, because this is not implicative of that. I mean, I can make an argument that it is. Again, Bitcoin back above 635 obviously is, and macro bullish, but maybe you're playing out a trend line like this. I would not trust that pretty much myself, but that'd be the hopium for that, I suppose. And to be fair, Bitcoin did close above the 9 right there as well. But this is confirmed as a local high now. We did close below our last range lows, actually. And that does confirm bearish divergence of multiple drives here. 1, 2, 3 drives come off the highs, actually. In this case, I would disagree. I would say it's more like this and actually does fit the trend line. Maybe we're doing one of these. No, I don't think that's real, by the way. Implying that this is like real right there. Anyways, kicked out of the bullish control zone as well. And technical target on that would theoretically be the 21, which is all the way down at 52,000 bucks, which is in line with your last local high right here. And are we going to do that like this? Don't do it like this, sir. Hey, motherfucker. Oh well, that works as well. We got is this? Hold on, I'm whiffing up my words right here. On a bearish retracement, that would be the 382. On a bullish retracement, that would actually be the 618 in this case, because this should actually be flipped, because this is a bullish retracement right here. I mean, we are within an uptrend, but either which way, I mean, you can just kind of flip the numbers around in your own mind. You can see that it's right around that region. So, I still think that there's a legitimate threat of going down around there. I mean, shit, Bitcoin can come all the way down to 58, 59,000 bucks and still be within a weekly uptrend. Let's see, how does the monthly look now too? Not really giving me too much right there. I mean, look, if this thing closes the doji doodle like right around 61,000 bucks, that'd be fine in my opinion. Coming into December wouldn't necessarily be like bearish. And to be fair, like I'm not really bearish on this macro. I mean, obviously this is a fucking uptrend, and obviously it's quite strong, on the macro here. The question is, how far do we come down before we do have the next major low? Right now, it's so funny to me on Twitter. Like, crypto Twitter is the most interesting thing to just analyze, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because right now it seems like everyone is saying the same tweet. And this is going to sound like contradictory to what I'm saying right now, but basically, to me, it seems like everyone is saying this. It goes it's like some variation of this. Everyone is looking lower and everyone is bearish, but I have bought the dip and I am bullish from here. I don't think we go any lower. But it's like they say that, and then everyone else is fucking saying that, but they think that they are the only ones who say that. That to me is rather concerning. It's complacency is what it is, and it's not a good thing to have in trading, to be quite honest with you. It's just so funny when like people say everyone thinks something, and then, I mean, for all that I see, everyone is actually saying that same thing. But then again, look, obviously for every trade, there's a buy and a seller. So does everyone think the same fucking thing? Obviously not. It's a very egotistical and silly thing to be saying. So, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it's just, I don't know, maybe you notice the same thing as well. If you have, well, let me know. Anyways, okay, cool. So I should talk about what to expect if I'm wrong on this, essentially looking for a local high somewhere right around here, which again is not confirmed just yet. So until then, technically speaking, should be looking up, although I'm not really of that opinion right now. But could Bitcoin take a leg up to 59.5 or $6,000 before then? Perhaps yes. I guess the next targeted region to the upside would be, yeah, about 59.5 in this case. But that'd still be another lower high. So it's really not until Bitcoin gets above your last range highs in this case, which is right here. I think I might have already had this. Yeah, I do have this charted out, about 61,300 or so, depending upon what time frame you're looking at. Just anywhere above there, yeah, you no longer have bearish or hidden bearish divergence, and that would look really, really good for a bear trap right now. Personally speaking, I think you're gonna get some more like this, where you go boom, and then maybe boom, and then maybe like another higher low, and then you go. That would be a beautiful one and would be indicative of reaccumulation within this region. That's a bunch of LARP lines right there. That's obviously not real trading, nor is it real analysis, but interesting nonetheless. I mean, that's kind of how I would expect it to go if we are going to get like a major macro low right here. Other than that, I think it's a good place for me to shut off this video so I can stop my talking face. I want to wish you well again. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.